All right, everybody, welcome back to the Purple Friday Show, episode 211. We are here again this week because the Ravens have moved on to the AFC Championship game. I'll start off by saying the fans of the bank definitely showed out. We've been saying it for the last 2 weeks. They better show up. They better show out. They did not disappoint. They were loud. I think I posted in the group. It was an image that came out. The Ravens are like the M&T Bank Stadium this year, or at least in the playoffs, has been the top home field advantage uh, arena in the NFL. With I think the total said this year like 15 false starts or something like that, and for the whole season. So I mean, they always kind of give the no one wants to play in Arrowhead. When the Patriots are playing, no one wants to play in Gillette, and no one wants to play in Lambeau. And I think a lot of times people forget about Baltimore and this crowd. Like they forget about it. I will give a shout out to Pat McAfee. He's been saying this for like at least since week 8, week 7. That I think went to one of the games that ESPN had. I think there, and he was just like, yeah, that crowd is just it's a blue collar town, and it's like they act like it. He's like, it's one of those things where you come into this city, it's not like coming into even with Gillette, like everybody there kind of have money. In New York, it's money. In LA, it's money, but in Baltimore, it's like it's just average Joes like walking around like if we're all fans. And we show that they said you can even you hear them go crazy for Pat Ricard, like guys that normally don't get any shine in the national media. The Ravens fans are going crazy for it because I think we love our guys, like as fans, like we love our guys, and I think that they have embodied that mentality this year. And getting to the game, that first half, I think we expected to see some struggles, some rust a little bit. Kind of felt like they were trying to feel out the Texans, and it kind of went back and forth. They were punting the ball, and there were some plays left on the field. I think when the game turned was when Lamar was they were trying to do that bootleg run to the left side, and Ronnie kind of stayed at his spot and didn't go upfield. And you saw Lamar just slam his fist to the ground, immediately gets up. And I mean, Lamar usually sometimes will just like, come on, man, shake his head, blah, blah, blah. Now he got right in Stanley's face. It's like, get upfield. Like, and then I think they score on that drive. They end up getting a touchdown. And then Lamar, even as they're celebrating, going to the sidelines, kind of still talking to Ronnie, like, look, keep doing that. Like, that's what we keep doing. And then I think they ran another play later in the game where Lamar ends up sealing the game. The same, Ronnie gets upfield. Lamar takes it the rest of the way for the touchdown. And look, I'll give credit to Ronnie Stanley. He was a road grader in that game. He did a phenomenal job blocking in that game. Lamar definitely ran for a lot more than we expected. I know a lot of people were like, he had 100 yards on the ground. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. I don't think I think this was what I expected was they're going to do something that Lamar hasn't done in pretty much all year. Lamar has been picking and choosing when to run. He's been a little bit more he's been safer with how he's been running the football. He's not, it's like going for the extra yard. He's getting out of bounds. But this game, like if he saw green, if they were playing man coverage and there was any gap in the middle of the field, he was taking it. There were several plays where Lamar they had guys open, but he still just ended up running the football. I don't think that's going to be the same way come this week. I think that if you're the Chiefs expecting Lamar to do exactly what he did against the Texans, they're in for a very big surprise. They're in for a very big surprise. And I think that's what I've liked about this team, especially on the offense this year, is that we've been now, at least since the bye week, we have now seen this team make adjustments in the game. Before, under the Greg Roman years, if they stopped the run, that was it. We couldn't do much of anything else. We would hope maybe occasionally Gus or JK or Lamar could break one and break off some tackles and stuff to extend some plays and kind of use his talent to, get over the hump, kind of, so to speak. But now that they made adjustments in the game, they started getting like, all right, they're blitzing. Like, was it 75% of the time during the game they blitzed? Once they figured that out, hey, let's get some more quicks. Let's get a little pitches and little quick slants and dump offs to Likely and Kolar and get Zay Flowers more involved, which they did in the second half. Nelson got his touchdown. It's when the Ravens scored 20 24 points
Yeah,
in the second half.
Yep.
24 points in the second half. I mean, the Ravens defense, which, in this game was the silent hero. I mean, only giving up 3 points to the Texans offense that were doing an air raid show with the Browns just a week ago, in Texas. And the Ravens, who have a very similar defense to Cleveland, clearly watched the tape. Shout out to Mike McDonald again for continuing just to make adjustments in that game. And you saw towards the end of the game where C.J. Stroud just got uncomfortable. He was doing intentional grounding, throwing balls in the dirt. Like, he was throwing the ball, throwing crossbody. Like, the Ravens got him all out of sorts in that game. And while they didn't get any takeaways, they didn't get any takeaways. They got, I think it was three sacks. I think they got in that game on C.J. Stroud. Was it any? I don't know if they got any sacks.
Zero
sacks. So that makes it
even a lot of pressures and a lot of QB hits. But
that's for me makes it even more impressive. And I think Shannon Sharp had made a point about elite defenses, is that can you stop a team when you can't get takeaways and you can't sack the quarterback? Can you still stop them? And I think the Ravens showed that. The Ravens showed that they held this offense again. They had played a equally as good defense in Cleveland and shut them down. They completely shut them out. So, yeah, look, it was I think I went in. I think I told my parents and some of my other friends, I was like, I went in there with nervous optimism. I was optimistic because I felt good about the team. At the same time, it's the playoffs and anything can happen. But I think when I saw Lamar run into the end zone, and just like when he ran into the tunnel, I was like, all right, like at this now, from here on out, the rest of this game, even the rest of the playoffs, this team they're good to go now. They're good to go. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah. Amazing game. Amazing finish to the game. You said it best. I mean, the number one takeaway of this game was the adjustments that were made. In Ravens past, we've had a history with our previous coaches and things like that, offensive coordinator and Greg Roman, and even like when Wink was there, not even just bullying on piling down on the offensive side of the ball, but adjustments was never our strong point when those coaches were over there. And in this Texans game, the way that first half went, I think Lamar might have had like 30-something pass yards, maybe 20-something. I can't remember, but it was a really, really low number. And I think I told you guys in the chat, I'm like, at halftime, I'm like, we're going to have to switch it up. Adjustments have to be made. The way that the Texans were bringing all that pressure, they was bringing a lot of blitz. They were blitzing more than what they even normally would blitz. And we had to have an answer for it. The Ravens, if you remember, have been in this position before, even in the playoffs. Early on in Lamar's career, what opponents would do is go cover zero. And that seemed to kind of be his Achilles heel in the offensive schemes that we were running with Greg Roman, and we really didn't have an answer for it. And you can tell the impact that Todd Monken has had being over here in the building, that we got to answer for everything you throw at us at this point. And at some point, no matter what you do on defensively, schematically, you still got to answer to Lamar Jackson. And your little blitzing everybody is only going to get you burned in the long run. It's not really going to help you. So adjustments, like I said, has definitely was the name of the game here. Going into half, tied up, basically 0-0, 10-10 at the half, and then to come out and immediately take the first possession down the field at the half and score a touchdown. I was good after that, honestly, at that point, because I knew, like, okay, this offense looked completely different in just looking at the first drive out of the half than it did in the first half. So I'm like, oh, we just made adjustments. And I like you said, Miles, I kind of felt that nervous optimism as well coming into the game, because, and it's not really because I was worried about the Ravens losing, but I had so much respect for the Texans, for DeMeco Ryans, for CJ Stroud. I mean, we're talking about the rookie of the year, probably, a coach of the year candidate as well. So, and a not too shabby defense on top of that. So it's like, I have respect for them. And I didn't know how this game was going to go. And, play gets elevated in the playoffs. I mean, we saw what happened with the Texans last week in that game, and how much high power they had on offense and things like that. So you just really didn't know what to expect. But just the fact that they kind of switched it over to the quick game, they let Lamar just kind of use his legs and run loose. They had some design QB runs. That bootleg we ran a few times. That's another thing for next week going forward. They're probably going to be looking for that bootleg because that's usually something we break out in big games. We've seen it in the Chiefs game that first year that Lamar beat Mahomes when he scored that touchdown when he flipped in the end zone. That was the same play to the other side. So that's one of our bread and butter plays where we really don't usually break out as often unless we need it. But that was under Greg Roman. This is Todd Monken. Our execution is better under Todd Monken. Our red zone percentage is better under Todd Monken. It's a different ball game. We don't have to worry about using a play and then, having to reuse it. Monken's going to scheme up something new for a new team. And that defense, incredible, spectacular, 3 points. I mean, our defense have done this multiple times this year. This wasn't surprising. Only thing that made it a little bit surprising is that it happened in the playoff game against the Rookie of the Year. With the stats and numbers that he's had all season. So huge game for the defense. The Ravens have to be probably the most confident team in the league right now. The way that they just kind of went about their business on the field, defense really didn't have to make too many adjustments. They just kind of had to stay the course and do the same thing and just kind of limit the big plays, which no team has done against the Texans all year, by the way. Even in the games that they've lost, they've made their big plays pretty much every week. They gave them nothing. That defense was suffocating, deafening. They literally had nothing. Obviously we can talk about the defense all day, but they pretty much played perfect. I don't really have nothing to say. Brandon Stevens, solid game. He got burnt on that one play that he just kind of like just misguided the route. The guy just kind of made space out of just an awkward break on the ball. Excuse me, awkward break on the ball. But outside of that, everybody played great. Ronald Darby came in, played amazing. Ronald Darby is playing incredible. Kyle Hamilton, we already know what he do. And Kyle and PQ on the inside, they literally didn't allow anything. They could not run the ball. And that was another reason why it was just kind of the score turned into what it was. They had no run game. We didn't really have to respect the run as much because they just weren't allowing anything. Beast had a solid game. Holdy line. Clowney was getting pressure every single down. And they just didn't give up anything. And I think we were able to just kind of pin our ears back and just have at it in that second half. And it was just a great thing to see. So great game by the team, obviously. Great game by the coaches. Those adjustments at halftime, top notch. Hopefully, in this next game, we won't have to do too much adjusting. Maybe the original game plan just kind of takes us home. But, you never know, especially when you're going against the best. There's only, 4 teams left now. So, we're playing the best against the best. So, shout out to them. And shout out to the bank. The bank was loud as I don't know what. I wasn't at that game, but you can see on TV. And I watched that other game after that. It did not sound like that. It did not sound like that. And what were they at? San Fran? It didn't sound the same. None of these games have sounded when they had the bank, you can tell on TV the difference that it causes. And for them to for that bank in one game to create 5 false starts and one delay a game, that's you can't ask for more. So I'm super confident going into next week just because we're playing at home. The fact that we've never hosted an AFC Championship game says a lot. Our home field advantage is real. I know people who've been to Kansas City games and they said it was a little bit gas, a little bit hype. I mean, I'm just saying this is what I heard. But they said the bank is crazy. Anybody that's been in the bank, they already know. So, yeah, man. Perfect second half from the Ravens. Great overall game, and that's some great momentum for us moving into next week.
Yeah, I think we saw our heart rates go up in the first half because we were like, oh no, not again. But I think, well, for the casual fan, but I think we understood that, like, hey, this team is different. They're going to get right. They're going to make adjustments at halftime, and we should see something different. And we were all saying, like, going into halftime, we need to make adjustments. We need to get to the quick passing game. But I think the thing that I just want to take away from this game before I go into everything else is the leadership of Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank. He did what he had to do in that locker room to get the team up. It wasn't Harbaugh. We know it's not Harbaugh. It wasn't Monken. It wasn't Rowe. It was Lamar Jackson, our quarterback. So for him to whatever he did, whatever cussing he did, whatever MFers and all this, and he did what had to be done to get this team to come out there and go 24-0 in the second half. So I just want to shout that out first of all. To the bank. I mean, the bank, like, I was at the bank for the Dolphins game, and that's the loudest it's ever been when I've been there. The energy surrounding this team and surrounding the fans is just different this year. It's different. I know am I glitching a little bit?
No, you're good.
Okay, yeah, the energy is just different. Everyone's excited. Everybody's bought in on this team. And, I think I caught a clip. I'm not sure. I think I caught a clip of us hitting 119 decibels at that game. I mean, so the fans are insane right now. And I think for Kansas City to come in, they're going to have some issues. They're going to have some issues with the crowd. So to the game, first half, offensive line terrible. I was not a fan of the play calling. I love that Lamar was doing his thing, but the plays took way too long to develop. We talked about that. Way too long to develop, and we caught a bunch of sacks, which really hurt us in a lot of tough positions in the first half. Defense was solid. Special teams, that's probably my biggest team that I'm concerned about out of the three phases of the game is our special teams. Our special teams has been very inconsistent this year. But second half, defense continued to shut it down. We didn't get any sacks, but we made it happen. Yeah, I know. We made it happen. We made plays. Everybody made plays throughout that game. But offensively, we did what we had to do. Quick passes. I love the adjustment and the chemistry that's building between Lamar and Isaiah Likely, where Isaiah Likely, we threw a ball that could have got picked off. It wasn't where Likely wanted it to be. And he lets Lamar know, hey, throw it up here, throw it up top. And Lamar threw that jump ball, and Likely was able just to catch it over the defender, and we got a touchdown. So I love the adjustments. I love the intensity. I think going forward, we just have to get pressure on the QB. I mean, I know CJ Stroud was MVP candidate. I know he's turning into a top tier quarterback already. I know the Texans offense is dangerous, but we can't go without a pass rush against Pat Mahomes. Regardless of the Chiefs and the downfalls and the issues they've had this year, we have to develop pressure in this game. And I know Corey kind of put in was it Joe Thuney? I don't know how to say his name, but I know he's hurt and it's really suspect on his status. But we have to be able to get pressure up the middle. We have to get pressure off the edge. We have to make Pat Mahomes uncomfortable in this upcoming game. So the one thing I really want to see from week to week is I just want to see more execution in our pass rush. But all the way across the board, I'm satisfied. Lamar did what he had to do. The talking heads are going to talk about the passing yards. Everybody put up how it was an MVP performance, but then you got people in the comments like, 152 passing yards. We threw the ball 21 times, 22 times. So what? We did what we had to do. The defense, we executed what the defense gave us. It was an efficient game, big plays in the run game. We ran for 230 yards. What else you want? It's almost 400 yards of offense. So, great game from the Ravens, completely dominant second half. Nobody should beat this team but themselves, and we saw that. First half, we beat ourselves, and it was a tie game. Second half, we play our ball. And, as we've been saying lately, we blew the doors off. So.
That's right. You gotta blow the doors off sometimes. It's but it's a little eerie because it's like the last time the Ravens gave up a punt return in a divisional playoff game was against the Broncos, where we beat them in Denver with the what was it? What would they call it? The not Hail Mary. What was it called? They called it something. Mile High, the Miracle, Mile High Miracle. Yeah. Mile High Miracle. So it didn't take all that. But yeah, so I did look up the Joe Thuney stuff. Apparently earlier today they said it looked like it was looking on the right track that he would play, but as of 2 hours ago, ESPN reported he's unlikely to play on the Sunday game. So he's their all-pro guard right in the middle for that offensive line, which would be a huge loss for Pat Mahomes, which we remember. I think it was a couple of years ago when they lost to Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. I think he was without his two tackles. I think both his tackles were hurt, and it clearly impacted the game. If the way Matt Beeks has been playing and Queen and Roquan have been playing, especially in the middle of that defense, that could be a problem. That's going to be a big problem for Pat Mahomes because I don't think it's like there's a level to this, right? You can't replace all pro talent like this. You can put a body in there, but that's not going to replace what Thuney does and has done for that offensive line. So, but like you said, Travis, I think for me, the biggest part of that game was Lamar's leadership. We've been hearing it all year, right? The players have been saying on their podcasts, and they've been saying it on Twitter about Lamar being a leader in the locker room. We just, Lamar doesn't really show it a lot, especially during the games. This was the first time I think the national media got to see Lamar, with some emotion, during the game. And I think somebody caught a clip of them going in when they were going into, for people that don't know, with the bank, they go into down the stairs, and Lamar had that Samuel L. Jackson look. He's in the white beater and stuff. He had that look where he was looking back at, I guess, whoever was on the offense coming down. Lamar looked like a pissed off dad. That's what he looked like. Yeah. Lamar looked like a pissed off dad that found out his son got suspended from school or something. He's like, yeah, I'm going to whoop that. Like, it's like, and that's what they said. That's what it was in the locker room. Lamar just went in there, and I don't know if it was it kind of reminded me of that clip they showed of Ed Reed when he was at University of Miami, and they're playing Boston College, and they're coming out of the tunnel, and Ed Reed stops everybody and just goes and starts going off on everyone. Like, I think Lamar, I think, reminded them, and I think maybe Roquan, maybe he would have stepped in at some point, but I think he's like, Lamar got this. That Lamar is, while he's gonna win his second MVP, you can clearly tell he's not worried about the personal accolades, right? Yeah. The Super Bowl in itself is a team award. That's the only award I think that's given out in the NFL for the team. The Super Bowl, where everybody gets a ring. And Lamar is clearly about the team because he's not sitting here talking about advocating on Twitter or on Instagram, I should be MVP or this or that, blah, blah, blah. I think I deserve this. Or I should be mentioned in this. Lamar has been talking about the guys. He's been talking about the guys. He's been talking about how we're going to get to where we need to be. And I think Lamar is not just about, I'm going to win one and I'm out of here. Like, Lamar's like, I'm trying to create something special here in Baltimore. Everybody keeps talking about, we talk about the Patriots and the Cowboys and the Chiefs now and, the Steelers of old and those teams. He's like, why can't it be Baltimore? Why can't it be? I think as long as Lamar is healthy with the Ravens, and I think Lamar can only get better from here on out. We've seen the growth from him leadership-wise and from how he's been able to just manage the game, be able to do different things. I think that one play they had where it looked like it was going to be a quarterback sweep or something like that. It was a quarterback, the touchdown to Likely. It looked like it was a quarterback sweep, and he just throws it up. Like, when you have a quarterback that can do those kind of things, it's impossible to game plan for. You don't know what you're going to see. You don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's just segue into my next point here about Lamar Jackson and his impact on the game right now. Is we remember when he was being drafted, and even before that, Bill Polian and all the rest of these people were saying he should be a running back, he should be a wide receiver, switch positions, don't be a quarterback. Lamar was very adamant about, I'm a quarterback, this is what I do. And we've seen time and time again, especially black quarterbacks, they've been told, you should probably switch positions. You're not really smart enough. You're not good enough to be quarterback, the leader of the team. And we've seen the Warren Moons, the Randall Cunninghams, the Dante Culpeppers, the Don McNabbs, and Steve McNairs, all throughout history, not really get unlocked because I think a lot of it was the coordinators and the coaches didn't know how to create game plans for these guys. They didn't know how to create game. We saw what happened with Michael Vick when he finally got with Andy Reid. You know, it was a little too late because Vick had all those injuries. But we saw like, oh, Vick can actually throw the football. Like, we were like, what would have happened if Vick actually met with and got drafted by Andy Reid several years ago? Who knows what would have happened with Michael Vick? And I think that's what we're seeing with Lamar Jackson is that we've been told that the prototype for a quarterback is more of the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, the Herberts, you know, these pocket QBs that can just throw the ball 70 yards downfield, blah, blah, blah. Lamar, the fact that he can throw for 150 yards, but then run for 150 yards and get 2 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns in the air just shows you a different element of what the quarterback position is going to be. We've seen guys like Ed Reed transform free safety position. Troy Polamalu transformed the strong safety. Lawrence Taylor transformed what it meant to be an outside linebacker. Ray Lewis transformed middle linebacker. I think what we're witnessing right now with Lamar Jackson is he's transforming what it means to be quarterback in the NFL. That no longer is the fact that you can also run the football a hindrance. It's no longer can he last this long playing this style of football. I think that if Lamar wins the Super Bowl this year, that gets thrown out the window now. And I think a part of it is too, there's, you know, the powers that be and stuff may not want that to happen because that's going to signal out a certain group of guys that won't be able to be successful in the NFL. Because guess what? There's going to be a lot of teams that if Lamar went to the Super Bowl because they've been told when they bought these teams and these head coaches, you can't win with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Lamar wins the Super Bowl, that narrative is dead. Now everybody's looking for Lamar Jackson at that point. Mm-hmm. So it changes a lot of things in the NFL and the landscape of the NFL. And I mean, I'll get to the coaches too. You see Antonio Pierce gets the job with the Raiders, right? We got DeMeco Ryans now with the Texans, Jared Mayo in New England. So you're starting to see a lot of these owners, you know, whether for better or for worse, are finally starting to realize, you know what? Maybe these guys actually know what they're doing. You know, maybe we just been behind the 8 ball so much and we've been stuck in our ways and everything else like that. You know, maybe it's time for this game to evolve. It's time to change. That the quarterback can be the best player on the team, not just throwing the football, but just everything else. With all the talent that Lamar has around him, he is still the best player in that team. That should say a lot. With Roquan being there, Kyle Hamilton, the way he's been playing this year, Zay, Odell, Mark Andrews, and Lamar still the best player on that team. Week in and week out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, I think we're witnessing something transformational in the NFL right before our eyes. I think it's happening right now.
I agree. I think even more so just the player. I think just the prototypical quarterback, I mean, that's out the window at this point. I don't even think Lamar needs to win a Super Bowl for organizations to realize that this is the new way. And if it's not the new way, it's probably the better way. Mm-hmm. I think the onus is more so on organizations to find the right coaching for players like Lamar Jackson or players that are mobile and things like that, or dual threat, I would say. I think that's really what it is. I think a lot of the rhetoric has been just misinterpreted, misjudged, really, because it's always going on. You can't win with a quarterback like this. You can't win with a quarterback. No, the athlete, the quarterback is the cheat code. Your coaching is what's hindering these athletes from doing what they need to do, or from maximizing their talents on the football field. Todd Monken's showing you that. Todd Monken's actually showing you what it could look like with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. I mean, Todd Monken's making organizations look crazy right now in what he's doing and the success we've had, even just up to this point, with all the success we've had, for not picking Lamar Jackson or not even having a conversation with Lamar Jackson. I think that's the main point, is that people aren't really, we get it. If your organization just don't want to fork out the money to pay up an athlete like Lamar Jackson, we get it. Business is business. You got to think about the future, blah, 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 blah. But you look crazy when you don't even extend a invitation for a conversation. And I think that's where the disrespect comes from. That's where the chip on Lamar's shoulder comes from is instances like that he's had to pretty much go through in almost every tier, or every phase of his career, every phase of his life. He's always had to prove someone wrong, prove something different, conquer what the opposition says was not conquerable. And that's just all he's been doing. And this is just on the highest stage. He's having to do it again. But it's extra special this time just because while he's doing it, the world is watching. And we're watching, and we're all a part of it, and we kind of see it in real time. If I'm the owner of the Atlanta Falcons,
kick rocks, man.
if I'm
Desmond Ridder over Lamar, okay, that sounds great.
like you blew it. Like you blew it with the team that they have over there. If Lamar Jackson was running all, it would look way different. It would be actually crazy.
It'd be nuts.
But that's neither here nor there. They missed their opportunity, and it's not the first time. I mean, and when Lamar was drafted, last pick of the NFL draft. I mean, the Ravens missed him the first time. We had to go back and get him. So it's just a reoccurring theme. But I'm glad for it because it's made, I'm sure it's made Lamar a better man for it. And it's just sweet just to see the outcome and the results of the decisions that these organizations have made, and the colleges have made, and going back in his younger years, it's just amazing. So yeah, I think this is the new way. And it'll be. I mean, it's going to be, the onus is going to be on the organization to put the right people in place and hire the right staff to hone in and maximize that type of ability for the quarterback position for your organization. If you can do that, half the battle was done. Obviously, Lamar's a rare talent. There ain't gonna be a bunch of Lamar Jacksons in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get one, you better put the right people in place. Ravens have learned that. We were blessed to be able to maintain and keep Lamar based on, in the offseason with all of that going on. Other teams might not be that lucky. So shout out to Lamar for just breaking down the doors, revolutionizing the position, keeping that chip on the shoulder, showing the young bucks, no matter, coming out of college that, you don't got to alter your game for nobody. Mm-hmm. You just got to, hopefully fall into the right situation, and then you're good.
Yeah. And the facts of the matter is, let's make it about race. White owners, white media, white ex-players, white current players, they have an archaic mindset. They want to, this is how it's always been done. This is the way the good old boys wanted it. This is the way they built the game. And if we're being honest, the game was always moving to being multifaceted and versatile. Mm-hmm. When you think about to the early 2000s, we saw some of the worst offensive football ever. I mean, you had a Super Bowl champion, what did we go, like 5-6 games without a touchdown? I mean, you saw some of the worst offensive football ever. So the game needed to catch up to where defenses and athleticism was going. And, one of the biggest ways is the usage of your athletes on offense, whether it be having a multifaceted quarterback, a wide receiver that could take handoffs like a Debo. We were always going this way. And the owners and media and everybody like being stuck in this traditional quarterback mindset just shows how limited and how small-minded people are when it comes to what the game of football could and should be. So Lamar's breaking so many barriers. I mean, when he has a good game, people criticize the way he talks, the way he interviews, his presence, the fact that he grew up with Kodak Black. There's always a goalpost moving for Lamar, and it probably will still move even after he wins the Super Bowl. But the fact is, who cares? He don't care. He's still going to win. He's a top-tier quarterback. And let's just call it what it is. Right now, he's the second-best quarterback in the NFL. That can change after Sunday.
Yeah, and I'll give some credit to Dan Orlovsky because he made a comment, I think, Monday, talking about Lamar Jackson. He was saying he brought it up. He brought it up. Stephen A. didn't bring it up, but Dan did, and he was like, "Look, guys that sound like Lamar and look like Lamar aren't supposed to be in this position." He's like, "Let's be real." He's like, "The way things are set up, you can look like a Russell Wilson, Pat Mahomes. Look, even Michael Vick at a certain point had to get his braids cut off. Like they want you to conform to a certain look to appease everyone else. And Lamar is still out here in his braids, still talking like he's from South Florida. Like he's like, I am who I am. Like when you hear him talk, and it's like people I don't see a elite franchise quarterback. They think that's you look like Troy Aikman or Steve Young, or Tom. Like you get that kind of look. And Lamar's going to be Lamar, which I love about. Look with all the stuff that happened in the offseason with I know the Ravens are doing business stuff, with the contract and everything, but they've let Lamar be Lamar. They haven't told him, hey, you need to cut your hair. Hey, we're going to get you a speech therapist to correct your speech. No, just be you, man. Do you? We don't care. Do you win football games? And I think that resonates. And Dan Orlovsky made a good point too. He was like saying that it's not just about about his play. It's about what he embodies too. Is that there are little black boys that look and sound like him in Baltimore, in Texas, in LA, in Miami, wherever. That now, I don't have to conform. And we've seen in sports like the Crown Law, right, where they've had to pass laws where black athletes can keep their hairstyles when they're competing, which is ridiculous. Like they're not allowed to keep their hairstyles. We saw videos of a teenage wrestler, a black wrestler, had to get his dreads cut off before he was allowed to wrestle in a match. Like that's inhumane to do that to somebody, because we all know how long it takes. My wife's growing dreads now. Like that takes work. So I'm like, the fact that I think seeing not just Lamar playing the way he's playing, but the image of Lamar too, I think is important to how he looks, and not that he's look, not no shame to Russell and Pat Mahomes and stuff like that. That's just, but I think there's been, especially when it comes to sports, there's been a part of the black community that a lot of sports media does not want to be front and center. Just plain and simple. This doesn't want to be front and center. So I'm happy for it. Glad the Baltimore organization is just letting him be him. And I can't wait for next week. But let's move on to division round weekend results. So the other game on Saturday night was another anticipated one. Packers against the 49ers. 49ers squeaked by 24-21. Debo goes down the game with a shoulder issue. Apparently, he's still dealing with it. I don't know if he's gonna go. He's not on the field. That could cause some problems for Brock Purdy. Now, we saw once he went down, Brock Purdy, he didn't look good. There was a couple times the Packers dropped picks in that game. I think Rashawn Gary had another, he was doing the same kind of, he was going to, if he had picked the one off, he was going to take that back for 6. But I think he dropped his. So it was like, if it wasn't for Jordan Love throwing across his body it was a first down on the drive they're supposed to go down the field. I think they only needed a field goal to tie. He throws across his body and gives the game away for a rookie, a quarterback mistake for a young quarterback. They bailed him. That bailed him out. They bailed him out. And then we saw throughout the game too. It was because it was starting to rain. He has issues with the weather. Apparently, I didn't realize this, but apparently he does not throw well in the weather, because they showed him with the towel and stuff, and he kept wiping his hands. He was putting a glove on, taking the glove off, taking the glove on. Like he could not grip the football to throw it the right way. And had that been the Dallas Cowboys, I'll say, had that been the Eagles from week 9, week 10, if that had been the Eagles from week 9, week 10, 49ers are losing that game. Yeah. And they're going up against the Lions this week, where you saw Jahmyr Gibbs go off in the Tampa Bay game. They're finally unlocked Jahmyr Gibbs. Finally, it took them, I don't know how many weeks, but they finally unlocked Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is going off. And I will say, I don't like this notion of, we're going to wait till the second or third round to draft running backs. If you got a guy like that, you draft him. You see it's worked out for the Lions, right? They're in the NFC Championship game. So don't pay attention to all this notions from Mel Kiper and all the rest of these people. Hey, wait to draft a running back. If you got a guy in the first round like that, you go get that guy.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Atlanta Falcons. You let Bijan Robinson just kind of sit there. But that's the point. No, look, the Packers, I think, played a hell of a game. They are definitely way ahead of where they expected, definitely where they expected to be. I don't think they even knew that Jordan Love was at this point. I think that because I don't even think they picked up his option. But I think now they're going to be working on a contract with him. I don't know how long it's going to be, but they're going to work on some. Like they can clearly say if we can add some talent around him, he's going to be pretty good for us. He's going to be pretty good with what they had, and I think they can add some talent to that. You got Aaron Jones, who went off in that the last few games of the season and into the playoffs played real well, and the Packers defense is still really good. The fact that they held the 49ers to 24 points, like that's commended all in itself. The 49ers have been putting up 30 plus points on everybody all season, except the Ravens. But the fact that the Packers even was able to do that is commendable. So I think they got a lot to work with. The 49ers, on the other hand, it feels kind of eagle-ish right now. It feels kind of eagle-ish where it's like Debo's hurt. They're going to have to rely on a lot of Christian McCaffrey. And now the one thing that I'll say the Buccaneers that did not do in that Lions game, Rashad White did run the ball pretty well against the Lions in that game. They ran pretty well.
Good.
So if the Lions can kind of focus on making McCaffrey, which the Ravens did, or taking McCaffrey out the game and focus on everybody else, I think the 49ers can be had. I don't think this will be an easy game for the 49ers at all. Now they are playing at home, granted, but the Lions right now, I mean, Dan Campbell said he's ready to eat kneecaps. I think that's going to – both of these games I think will be really good. But back to the 49ers and the Packers. I think for the 49ers thing, there's Kyle Shanahan, the playoff Kyle Shanahan going to show up again this time because he gets all this credit for the regular season, right? He gets credit every regular season about how great he is and the stuff he draws up and everything else. But when it comes time to like getting to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl, he tends to choke a little bit. He tends to, and I said this several weeks ago about Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo. He has a certain type of quarterback that runs his system because he doesn't seem to allow for the quarterback to make any adjustments. The quarterback to make, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Hey, I need to do this or this. They run the system, and that's how they operate. But if you get the right defense and the right coordinator, they're like, all right, I know what they're doing here. I know what they're doing here. They like to run this play on this side of the field, this down and this, and like to run this play. If it's just a system, this offense isn't going to be as effective. Again, I think that's why McCaffrey is a cheat code because of his ability to you hand him the ball off and he breaks 3 tackles and runs 40 yards down the field. You can't game plan for that if he gets the ball. But you can game plan for if Kittle's running a certain route, if Ayuk's running a certain route. And if Debo's out there, you're taking that whole extra element out of it completely. You're basically turning me into and he's a pocket passer. And we saw what Aiden Hutchinson did in that Tampa Bay game. Aiden Hutchinson this year has taken another step forward. He's taken another step forward. Aiden Hutchinson was dominant in that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was dominant. If Aiden Hutchinson can go off because Brock Purdy does not move, if Aiden Hutchinson can get to him, it could get real spooky for 49ers real quick. So they got the win. They're on the AFC Championship game, but this Lions matchup, I don't think if we had said this 6-7 weeks ago, the 49ers are winning this game easy. Now, not so much.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to gauge the game just because we stomped this team, and I'm kind of like I can't really like get that game out of my head when I'm trying to critique this team because I mean we played them pretty much at full power, like they had everybody. Them going up against we're talking about the Packers game though, right? That game against the Packers, they look really, really suspect. I mean, not and suspect in a sense where they just didn't look like their dominant selves against a team that they should be far more superior than. Jordan Love has been showing his what the last few weeks. Like he's been locked in, he's been lights out, he's been controlling that offense as better as he's ever had. He's getting a lot of even throughout the season, just the last few games, and this is good for him, even in a loss. That he kind of just threw away with that bonehead decision at the end. But I mean, that just comes with being young and not having as much experience. But the fact that he won the playoff game and he advanced to this divisional round and he played multiple playoff games and he has the experience now. I think Jordan Love is going to be fine. I mean, the fact that he's playing the way he's playing. Aaron Jones, when healthy, is one of the best backs in the league. When we're talking about being able to do everything out of the backfield, whether it's catching the ball, running the ball up the middle or the outside, bounce it up, whatever you need Aaron Jones to do, he's a weapon. He's a solid weapon for the Packers. And and this is what receivers where they really don't really have a number one. Like they're just kind of like bouncing out. 1 week is Dobbs, 1 week is Jalen Reed. Like it, they don't really have a specific number one. Like I'm pretty sure they're going to make probably a move in the offseason, and they're like one athlete away from, doing what they could have did this year and just going a little bit further. So no worries for that team. Now the San Francisco team, without Deebo Samuel, this team is so one-dimensional. Like you said, Miles, the system that Purdy is a part of, it's kind of like when that's going well and we're at full strength, the system will work fine. But in those moments, when we come playoff time, those are the moments where you have to ask your quarterback to do a little bit more than what he probably used to doing. This team, and not to say Brock Purdy hasn't had phenomenal games in the regular season and everything leading up, but in the playoffs, your quarterback is always going to be asked to do a little bit more than what's been asked, unless you have, I don't know, a Ravens 2000 defense or something where it's just historic and like you're just kind of coasting. But that's not their situation. I mean, throughout the year, Niners defense was pretty much touted as the best in the league. They haven't looked like the best of the league in the last several weeks. It started when they played us, and we pounced on all over that team and just dominated them the way we did, put up all those points on that defense, have Fred Warner looking crazy, open space. Like, this team can be had, and they almost got had again by the Packers. So just, even with that being said, I still feel like they have the best shot of winning the NFC Championship next week. But I'm not confident about this team without Deebo Samuel on the field. They need all their dogs on the field for me to give them a sure lock. Because without that, it's like, okay, now we'll just focus on Christian McCaffrey the whole game. And not that Ayuk isn't a weapon, because he is, but his success is going to depend on what Brock Purdy does. So in that game, they just had so many opportunities to lose. And even on the touchdown that McCaffrey scored that closed it out, that was really a delay of the game that they didn't call. So that play shouldn't even have happened the way it did. But, yeah, solid game for Jordan Love, even in the loss. The Niners, squeaked through with the W. But if I'm the Niners in that locker room, I'm not feeling that confident moving into the NFC Championship. I'm really not. The momentum that Detroit has, going into that game right now, Niners are kind of half stepping into that game. And if they say Debo's out, it's almost good night. And honestly, even if Deebo does play, he's probably going to go out again if he's not all the way there. Like, he's not going to be 100% if he does play. And we see what Deebo does in the last quarter of these seasons. He gets a little banged up, whether it's him or Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be one of the two. This year it just happens to be Deebo again, and they're just getting plagued with the same thing. So if I'm the Niners, I'm not feeling great. But I mean, obviously they still have a shot to win. They're probably still going to be the favorite. But if Deebo can't suit up and they don't have, the 3-headed monster or the 2-headed monster with McCaffrey and Deebo, it's going to be a long night for them.
Yeah. Yeah, real quick. Man, I was really impressed with the Packers. They're a tight end and another wide receiver away from being a contender. With the 49ers, Brock Purdy looked like a system quarterback. Because as soon as the way they play, as soon as one guy goes out, it messes up the flow of that offense, especially if it's Debo. Their offense is predicated around space and their guys being threats to create space for other guys. So when Debo goes out, that's a big threat you lose. And Purdy just cannot carry that team. He just doesn't have the skill set. He doesn't have the arm strength. He's just not that type of guy. He's a guy that's going to do what he can with all the stars you put around him. But, I mean, San Francisco looks rough. I mean, I think Corey said in the chat, like Nick Bosa, him and Chase Young, where were they at? Their DBs outside of Ward just look suspect. They don't look like that same team that looked formidable all year. Packers really pushed them to the brink. And to be honest, in that fourth quarter of that game, I thought the Packers were going to pull it out. I really did. I thought we were going to be looking at a different game. So, I mean, it's rough looking at the Niners going forward. I think without Debo, I don't think they come out of Sunday with a victory. So, I mean, you got a system quarterback. It can only take you so far. You got to have everybody in place. You can't afford any injuries. So I don't know. They're not as scary as they once were. I think we exposed them, and it's been a little rough for them ever since. So that's all my take is. Keep it
You're right. They haven't been the same team since the Ravens have played them. And again, I think this is a little bit about Kyle and not. Doesn't appear to be a lot of ownership by Brock Purdy of this offense. Like everything, just Kyle does everything. And I think in order for you to get to a certain level, and especially in the Super Bowl era, your quarterback has to take some ownership of the team and the plays and see things on the field and make adjustments when they need to. And if a player leaves the field, he's like, well, I don't know what to do when said team. And that's what it was with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what it was with Brock Purdy. And yeah, so I don't know. Like I give Kyle Shanahan a lot of credit, but I think when you look at these Kyle Shanahan, look Mike McDaniel, you look at some of these guys that are from the Kyle Shanahan tree now, it's very similar. You know, when a player leaves, look at Miami. When Tyreek Hill was out, that offense was dead. So it's like there's not a lot of plug and play when it comes to these offenses, and I think that's what you need in the NFL where guys get hurt. You know, that's what you need. So I mean, next game I think was the Lions against the Buccaneers. It was an enjoyable game to watch for the most part. It was an exciting game. I said the Lions played well with Jahmyr Gibbs going off. Aiden Hudson did a phenomenal job on defense. Jared Goff, somebody mentioned this was a very wild stat. Jared Goff has now led two different teams to the NFC Championship game before Dak Prescott has led the Cowboys to win.
That's insane.
That is crazy.
Man. That is
the
insane.
Rams and the Lions. He's led two different franchises to the NFC Championship game before Dak has led the Cowboys to win. That's insane.
Very
insane. But look, I think all I'll say from this is that I'm just happy for the Lions. I am. I don't think the Lions, even the fans, expected to get this far. And here we are in the championship game. I think they can smell blood in the water. And I will say, with Dan Campbell's coaching style, I just hope that he kind of reins it in a little bit, because people, you love the renegade factor and stuff, that he's willing to just go, let's go for it. It's 4th and 13. Let's go for it. You know, like kind of thing. Like he just kind of balls to the wall. Like let's just go. But I think in the playoffs, you got to play smart football. And you can't let your emotions get involved. And I think that this is going to be a tight game for the Lions. And if there's an opportunity for them to win the game, he's kind of got to make that smart decision. Mm-hmm. I think he's capable of it, but I think he has to reign. I think he has to understand it himself where he is. Like, it's fine in the regular season, but in the playoffs, where possessions will be very limited, and this you got 6 minutes left in the game, but you got the ball and you're only down 3. If you go for it here and miss, that could be it. You may not get the ball back. So I mean, that's also Baker Mayfield. I think he's earned himself at least another 2 or 3 year deal with the Buccaneers until they find their permanent quarterback for the future. He played well, but he made he threw 2 picks in the game, especially the last one. So I mean, Mike Evans. I don't know if he's done in Tampa Bay. I think they may try to re-sign him, but I think if he is available, he's going to be a hot commodity for somebody. I would think if you look at what the Bill situation with Stephon Diggs and he may be out of there, there's a lot of teams that could use a Mike Evans. Yeah. Ravens could use a Mike Evans. Good grief.
Right.
Imagine if Lamar had Mark Andrews and Mike Evans. He could just throw the ball up. Somebody's down there. Yeah. Somebody's down there. Man. Yeah. But yeah, that's something to say about that line. Just proud of the Lions to get into the AFC Championship game. And,
yeah. Shout out to the Lions. Another team that we dogged. They look great right now, though. They look good. They look real good against
remorse.
Right. No mercy.
They look real good against this Buccaneers team. Baker had a solid year, and another quarterback where it's like, kudos to what you've done. But he didn't look the greatest down the stretch in that game, and he made the crucial interception that sealed it away. So, yeah, the Lions. The best part about the Lions is that run game, man. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, they both complement each other well down there. If you had parlays, I know you were sick because it's like, which one do I bet on this week? Because any one of those guys can go, and they take turns. Like no one. They take turns getting the ball in the backfield. No one running back really has more possessions than the other one. Like it could be either one. So their run game is solid. So that's obviously scary. And also on top of that, Jared Goff, he played a solid game. But what I noticed about Jared Goff though, if he's under pressure, it's good night. Like if you can get to Jared Goff, the game's practically over because the guy's a statue. Like if he has any type of duress or QB pressures hits, when you start racking those up, he hits the dirt almost instantly. He doesn't really fight to get out of sacks and things like that. So it's really not much you can do. But they look good. I think it could have been either or. It did come down to being a pretty close game, like we kind of thought. Baker did his thing. I mean, Baker's probably had the best year he's had in a long time. So, like you said, I think they're probably going to extend him for a couple of years and just see what happens after that. And as far as Mike Evans, I mean, I like Mike Evans. Mike Evans is definitely a big play threat that will be valuable to any team. I just think he's kind of wildly inconsistent. And I don't know if it's just because he's playing with Baker right now, but even the past few years, before that, he'll give you like a bunch of drops too. Like he'll make an amazing catch and then he'll turn around and drop a quick slant or something like that. So we'll see. We'll see. If he's available, I'm not saying don't go get him if he's there, but I think I probably would still have Diggs first. If Diggs was available, I'll probably get Diggs first. And if Mike Evans, if it was a choice between those two, I'd probably still go after Diggs, even though Diggs had that crucial drop that probably would have won the game for them if he would have made that catch in that divisional round playoff game against the Chiefs. So, yeah, I think good game all around. Lions did their thing, but I think it's simple how you beat the Lions. Honestly, I think that's the only issue with the Lions going forward is that everybody knows if you can get hands on Goff, that's really going to be the key to your victory, and also not let them just run you out of the stadium as well.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Jared Goff has done well as a quarterback. His resurrection has been insane. But I didn't have the Buccaneers winning this game. I had them, putting up points just because Detroit's secondary is suspect, but the secondary stepped up and made some turnovers. Yeah, and then threw it right back at Baker. Pause.
Yeah, that was. I like that. That was. No, I didn't like that part. I mean, he threw the ball back at him. What's wrong with all y'all?
So the Lions. So yeah, I mean they can get pretty one-dimensional real quick if you're able to stop them in the run game. You can definitely beat them. I think though that they have a very good shot of beating the 49ers without Debo. I think they can make enough plays, but I think they could run the 49ers out of that stadium. I totally think they can. I think they're built for it. And I think they have an energy around them that I liken to what the bank has right now and what this Ravens team has. And I think what Dan Campbell brings to the table with motivating that team, I think he's the best motivational coach in the NFL right now. Even more so probably than Mike Tomlin. So I think with all that considered and all that they're playing for, and they're playing for the city and they're playing for each other, I think they could pull out this upset. I think it's kind of lined up for them to do that. And I just think Brock Purdy, man, without both of those guys on that offense, without both McCaffrey and Debo, gotta have both. I don't think he could pull out the victory. I just don't. So I think this is prime for next week. Lions upsetting the 49ers, and it's going to be one of the biggest upsets in recent football memory.
Yeah, I think it's like you said with Chase and Nick Bosa didn't have any sacks in that game against the Packers. So look, since Nick Bosa got his contract, he's definitely been underwhelming all season since he got paid. And I don't think that that vaunted defense they talk about. Now Fred Warner is clearly, I think, the best player in the team. Right? Don't get me wrong, but that defense can be had. We saw what Aaron Jones did to him.
Yeah.
We saw Aaron Jones too. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is just a little bit better than Aaron Jones. Like, so if they can get to them early and Jahmyr Gibbs can just kind of get in the zone, it could be a long day for the 49ers in that game. We'll move on to the last one. So the Chiefs-Bills. Bills get the Chiefs at home, the game they wanted. You know, the build up, they showed the pregame stuff with this is the next Peyton Manning, this is the next Brady matchup. You know, Josh Allen against Mahomes. They changed the overtime rule because of this game 2 years ago, and you know all the pomp and circumstance in this game, right? It came down to two plays, in my opinion. It came down to two plays. Stephon Diggs dropping the ball on that 65-yard touch that should have been a touchdown. 65-yard bomb. And the 2nd and 9 play where Josh Allen throws it short to Shakir in the end zone. Shakir is wide open in the back of the end zone. Now, if he steps up in that throw, now, granted, Deion Dawkins, I think, got pushed back into him, and he couldn't step into the throw, to get the ball to Shakir. But they showed, if you look back at that play, Stephon Diggs was running a shorter route that would have gotten a first down. Would have, at least given them more time, burning the clock out, blah, blah, blah. Throws it short, then leads to Tyler Bass, who they've now called Tyler Ass. Misses the field goal wide right, invoking, past memories, past traumas from Bills fans of wide rights against the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
It was windy, man.
It's a kick. He makes that kick 9 times out of 10, right? He does. He's done that in that weather. He makes that kick 9 times out of 10. But under the circumstances, it didn't. I don't know. It's just bad. The other play that got me, that I think is a fireable offense by Sean McDermott, was that fake punt thing they did on their own 30-yard line with DeMar. What were they expecting to happen?
They thought they had a Disney moment. That's what it was.
Right. That's the angels in the outfield, where they were trying to little giants. What were they doing? Like, I was. They thought DeMar Hamlin was going to take that ball and run 50 yards upfield to set up a touchdown to win the football game.
They thought they were about to win ESPY with that moment.
They thought they were about to score on that.
Yeah,
That's
and
what they
got
thought
a
was
good
going to happen.
documentary and everything.
They
And
claim that it was only 10 people on the field for the Chiefs, and that's why they
still stopped it. And they still stopped it.
yeah.
And the other bad part about it is that here comes the Chiefs get cute on when they get the ball back. They could have ended the game right then and there. They get the ball back and give it to McCole Hardman, who's barely even touched the football all year, and then he fumbles it out of the end zone, sparing Sean McDermott at that time any embarrassment. If McCole Hardman or if anybody else gets that, if Travis Kelce gets that football and scores on that touchdown, scores a touchdown and ends that football game, McDermott is fired the next day. I'm sorry. He is. In my eyes, if I'm the owner, what were you thinking? Like, what were you with the game on the line? If it's 4th and 5, even if it's on your own 30 at that point, I have to assume, why is Josh Allen out in the field? Why is the offense out in the field? You give it to your best player, good or bad, whatever. Go make the play. If they don't make the play, I can live with it. But don't try to that fake punt stuff with Damar Hamlin, who doesn't. He's not even involved in the special teams like that much. Like, he barely sees the field.
Or offense.
Or else, like that play did not make sense to me. I don't know if he read the script wrong or something. I don't know if that was supposed to be for next season, or that honestly that was supposed to be for last season. If that was supposed to be Hamlin coming back, and that was a play that he was going to run against the Bengals or something, if he had come back in that Bengals game. But the Bills, you had the Chiefs where you want them, right? The Chiefs' offense is as bad as it's going to be at this point. And you gave it away. You gave it away. You had them right where you wanted them. It was what, 27-24? I think it was 27. You had them right where you wanted them. You had them under 30 points. You had them right where you wanted them. And you let it go. So at this point, I think Diggs is going to be out. The other part of this is Von Miller signing that contract in the offseason, got 0 sacks all season. 0. He didn't get one. I think he was hurt most of the year. But he didn't get anything, so that flopped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the window for the Bills might be closing a little bit, just because it's looking more not Tom, not Peyton. It's clearly Peyton Manning, not Peyton Manning. It's clearly Pat Mahomes is Tom Brady, but I think some other people have said, it's not so much that Josh Allen is like Peyton Manning. I think it's more like Phillip Rivers at this point. Like, he's good, just good enough to get in the playoffs, maybe win a game, but they can't beat those guys. So I think they've been marketing Allen and Mahomes to be this next Peyton Brady thing, when they really need to be marketing Mahomes Lamar. That's what they need to be marketing for Mahomes, for the Brady Peyton Manning rivalry.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, they're gonna be doing plenty of that this weekend. So we're gonna be seeing that too. I think I don't know if the window is closing or not. I wouldn't go that far as of yet. Only bail I will shoot the Bills is that they had a ton of injuries on defense. So that game might not even have been as close if they had some of their guys available and healthy. But like you said, they were right there and they let them off the hook. And it wasn't really, you can blame the kicker if you want, but Josh Allen, he's a playmaker. He's a dog. He's feared in the pocket. He's feared more when he runs out of the pocket. But at the same time, the big plays that he needed, he didn't hit. So, like, even without the field goal, the pass that Josh Allen made into the end zone, that incomplete pass, he just kind of threw it in the dirt. That was just a missed opportunity because Diggs was running wide open across the middle of the field that he could have actually gotten positive yards in a first down with. Instead, now we got to kick a field goal that goes wide right. So it's like it's the little things. Like, they lost to the Chiefs, but they also kind of beat themselves there as well. I don't think that the Chiefs did anything in particular that got them to win outside of kind of getting lucky at the end. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think, was this the third or fourth time? Fourth loss? The third loss for Josh Allen and Mahomes at this point? So it's looking number 4, right? Fourth one?
1-4 now, yeah.
it's looking kind of crazy right now. Like, I mean, he can't get over that hump. So I think it is necessary for him to beat Mahomes. And that was the perfect opportunity being at home. But the fact that Mahomes came in your house and came up out of there with the dub and going to his 6th straight AFC Championship is crazy. So it is what it is. I still think Josh Allen's a dog, but he's got too much playoff experience for him to come up short in the big moments. And I think that's probably the one concerning thing going into next year. But I don't think it'll always be that. It's just a matter of the question is who's going to be left on that team going forward that's going to give him the same boost that he's had. So especially with Diggs looking suspect as far as his play kind of shows that he wants out. Whether you know what his opinion is or not, it kind of looks like he's ready for a fresh start. And a couple other guys on that team as well. So, some bright spots like, James Cook and a couple of guys like, their tight ends, Dawson Knox and Kincaid. Kincaid looks phenomenal. So, I mean, they still have bright spots on offense that they can still build on in the offseason. And Josh Allen's going to be there. He's not going nowhere. So, it just is what it is. But right now, Patrick Mahomes is his daddy.
Hey, yo.
It is what it is.
Hey, man. It is what it is. Yeah. I mean, just to put a bow on this, I mean, hey, it's plain and simple. They were dominating the game with running the ball. That's how they were like in the game, working their way towards potential victory.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put the ball in Josh Allen's hands. Now, Josh Allen has that big arm. He can make throws on the run. He can run the ball. But there's something about him being your playmaker in clutch situations that is hard to trust him, whether it's making a turnover or missing throws. And I think I got to shoot him bail on the Diggs throw because, I mean, that was such an amazing throw.
Amazing throw.
Best throws I've ever seen him make. And Diggs, he slowed up and just missed it. That was insane. But the throw was to Shakir in the back of the end zone. You can't miss something like that. That's game. That's checkmate. We're going to the AFC Championship. He's just not that guy in the clutch. He's not that guy. And I think where they saw success this year was taking the ball out of his hands more. But they needed him at the end of that game, and he didn't show up. So Kansas City, they did what they should have did, and let's give the ball to Pacheco. Pat Mahomes made some good throws. Rashee Rice, I think he's going to be a guy one day. And I was rooting for him to be a guy because I watched him carve Maryland up when he played for SMU. I watched that live in person. So great to see him doing good. But overall, I wasn't really impressed with either team. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not trying to say it. The Ravens.
True though.
I wasn't totally impressed with both teams. They have some glaring weaknesses. I don't see dominating offenses or dominating defenses. They just weren't overly impressive. But good game.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, stop trying to make a Disney moment with Damar Hamlin.
I did not. That made no sense. I was like, where did that come from?
They thought they were about to make the sequel to Rudy. Like that. Like it was just insane.
I didn't get that.
It didn't make sense.
And I follow the NFL IG memes or something, and they be wild sometimes with the stuff they put together. Like they're like, why don't you just stay dead? It was a lot of yeah. That was, I was like, yo, they be wild with some of their memes, man. But look, shout out to the Bills fans. We saw Tyler Bass delete his social media accounts and stuff because of that. But they ended up donating over $100,000 to his charity that he has in Buffalo. Because look, at the end of the day, the man has a family to support, and I know it's tough to lose, especially in Buffalo, because they've been expecting a championship there for 30 plus years. But they're not as bad as Dallas fans. At least the Bills fans show up, and they have shown up for their teammates, their players, fans, and they've shown up for other teams too. That if the player has a cause or something, that they've shown up for that as well. So shout out to the Bills fans for that. But on to the game we care about, right? So Ravens against Chiefs, 3:00 game on Sunday. The weather is. There was some chance for rain. Doesn't appear like it's going to really affect the game. But Trey, I think you put in. Trey or Travis, I think you put in the group. So at the game, it's going to be Ray Lewis and Ed Reed are the legends of the game. Jonathan Ogden will be the honorary captain, like Cal Ripken was last week. Michael Phelps will deliver the game ball, and the offense will be introduced with T-Pain performing at halftime. So, look, they're pulling all the Ravens legends going to be in the building. Ed Reed and Ray Lewis especially going to be there at the bank, 3:00. I know that the whole downtown Baltimore area is going to be insane. It's going to be nuts. I've already seen the memes about Taylor Swift. They're like, what happens with Taylor Swift, what she's going to look like when the squeegee boys trying to clean her like SUV or something. And when she like goes past North Avenue or something, like it was a whole bunch of stuff about like, Taylor coming here. And I put a tweet out saying like the only Swift we respect here in Baltimore is K Swift. That's it.
Yeah.
Just K Swift. We don't mess with no Taylors up here. So it's look at the end of the day, we're not gonna. I'm not on I hate Taylor Swift bandwagon. I more so hate the NFL for what it's doing. She doesn't ask to be on the camera every 5 minutes. The NFL is doing that. Every time the Chiefs score, they're going up to her like she's the owner or the GM of the team or something. Like they do for the Cowboys with Jerry Jones. I am getting sick and tired. And now the whole all of America, because we're down to the Final Four, all of America is on the Ravens side now. Everybody's like, y'all the last stand here. This is it. We don't want a Taylor Swift Super Bowl. Everybody's like, we don't want it. Save us, Baltimore. Save us from a Taylor Swift Super Bowl. That's the last thing we want. And then, as we saw, the NFL is doing their best to help the Chiefs in their conquest of getting to another championship. They have put in place a referee that is known for giving away teams a little bit of a slight advantage when it comes to penalties. The only thing I think that's gonna the way I think that's gonna help the Ravens though is because of how loud the bank is. Because the bank has been able to cause teams to burn timeouts a little bit early, get delay of games, get false starts. I know as Baltimore fans, as Ravens fans, we're tired of Lamar, especially not getting the respect that he deserves. So Pat Mahomes coming up here in Baltimore, and you got Lamar Jackson about to be in his second MVP. And here in Baltimore, he's the guy. Forget Pat Mahomes. And then I think there's still some penance that needs to be paid for Pat Mahomes and his complaining about that bit when they lost to the Bills in the regular season. When they went into the referees and complained to the referees, man, that was when he went to Josh Allen at the end of a game and Josh Allen congratulated him on a good game, and Pat Mahomes was like, that's a BS call, man. You know it was a BS call. Like, I expect better from Pat Mahomes. I expect better from him. At that point, I was like, you know what? Now that he's playing the Ravens AFC Championship game, there's some penance that needs to be paid. Okay? There's some penance that needs to be paid for this game. And now, look, Taylor Swift's going to come. She's going to be in there, be in that suite. I don't think she's going to be ready for that experience. I told my wife, I want the Ravens, when they score touchdowns, to play swag surfing after every touchdown. And just have the Ravens crowd do it. Because articles have been coming out about swag surfing and where it originated. I'm like, this has to be stopped.
Swag surf.
This has to be stopped. I remember this. The swag, for people that don't know, swag surfing came out in 2009. Okay, 2009, the year after I graduated college. Swag surfing is not new. There are moments in Black history that will be remembered. As we remembered in 2023, there was the Mississippi with the Alabama boat brawl. Okay, the Alabama brawl. Then we remember the chairs, the guy flipping his hat. We remember that. This is one of those moments. This is time that there are a few moments we get to take back something that has been taken from us. This is one of those moments. It's time for Baltimore to take back flag surfing. Take it back. I want to see Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson, whoever, every time they get in the end zone, do swag surfing in the end zone. I want to see that. That's what I want to see.
I like that.
So, getting to the game. Look, we already said Joe Thuney looks like he may not play. Obviously, things can change between now and Sunday. The weather doesn't appear to be like it's going to be a factor. The weather's going to be definitely not as cold as it was last week. So it's going to be, I think, in the 40s for that game. So we saw how well the Ravens played. I think we were also wondering how Lamar and them were going to play in the cold because it was pretty cold out there with the wind chill and everything else. They played pretty well in that game. They know Andy Reid's going to dial up on offense. So this is more about, for me, this is more about a game where this is Mike McDonald's shining moment. He has done a phenomenal job against Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, and some of the greater offensive minds that we have played against in this season. But to get to the Super Bowl, he's going to dial up some stuff that Andy Reid probably hasn't even shared yet, that they have for this team in this game before they get to the Super Bowl. And Mike McDonald's going to have to make adjustments. And, and I think this is his game, right? The reason why I think they're bringing Ed Reed and Ray Lewis to this game, because they're aware, as much as Lamar Jackson and this offense has been taking this team to new heights, the defense still wins championships. I think that still matters, right? It still matters that Roquan and P. Queen and Clowney and Hamilton and Stevens and all those guys, Lamar is getting a lot of the national attention, right? But this defense, especially in Baltimore, still matters, right? The fact that you held the Texans to 3 points last week, the Ravens know if they can force Mahomes to just get out of his element, get him seeing ghost. If they can get him seeing ghosts, this game is one and done. Because of what the Ravens offense has been able to do for the last several weeks since the bye week and taking advantage of these opportunities, we've seen in the past where the Ravens defense get a stop, offense can't do anything. Ravens defense get a stop, they can't do anything. That's not the case this year. What we saw, you said, Travis, in the first drive of the third quarter, the Ravens go down there and get a touchdown immediately. They start off fast. And I think, look, Roquan, I think that because you got Roquan and Lamar on the defensive side of the ball, Roquan and Lamar on the offensive side of the ball, you got two captains on this Ravens team that are lock and step now. They know what they're going after. They know, I think it means more to them beating Mahomes, beating the defending Super Bowl champions, than it would have meant to beat Josh Allen and the Bills had they come in here. Beating Pat Mahomes to beat the defending Super Bowl champions to get to the Super Bowl means that much more to this team, because even now they had us as 9-point favorites against the Texans. We're only 3-point favorites against the Chiefs. Okay. And then he didn't put up 30 points in that game. They were a field goal away from going to overtime against the Bills. They had us as 9-point favorites against the Texans, but only 3-point favorites against the Chiefs team. So if I'm a Ravens player, especially, I'm coming at disrespect. Like, you saw what we did to the Texans. You think we can't do it to the Chiefs? You think we haven't done that to the Dolphins, to the 49ers, to the Lions, to the Seahawks? Like, y'all really think the Chiefs are going to come up in here and just have their way with our defense the way they've been doing? No, they're going to come in here. What the Ravens have been able to do week in and week out is turn every quarterback they played into the worst quarterback in the league that week. They've been able to turn every quarterback they played into a mediocre quarterback. Now, look, granted, Mahomes is a different guy. Don't get me wrong. He's a different kind of quarterback, but he doesn't have the weapons that he had last year. I think coming into the bank when guys like Rashee Rice and Valdez-Scantling and stuff get hit a couple times over the middle by Roquan, by P. Queen, by Marcus Williams, by Kyle Hamilton, they get hit enough times, they're going to start dropping that football. Guaranteed. And I think what we saw from the 49ers game, this Ravens team's ability to not just get takeaways, but force takeaways. Because there's a big difference. There's a big difference when, a quarterback's an errant throw and you just pick it off. But the Ravens were punching the ball out. They were getting at the line of scrimmage, tipping the ball at the line of scrimmage for the linebackers and then safeties to make plays on the ball. I think that's what we're going to see in this game. The Ravens will make forced turnovers. Some they didn't do in this last game, but I think they're going to do it in this game. And I said with Tooney not in the game, Matty BK is going to need it. I don't know if he has a contract yet. There's been rumors going around. The Ravens are talking to him about extending him. This is that game, man. This is that game. This is that money bag game. If I'm Clowney, if I'm Michael Pierce, if I'm Broderick Washington, all them, I'm telling Matty BK, look, dude, this is your game, man. This is it. If Tooney, I don't care if Tooney's in or not. Don't even worry about it. This is your game. You go in there and you provide that interior pressure, you're going to get paid. Even if it's here or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to get paid. So there's a lot of guys, like Zay wants to have a show out game, especially in the AFC Championship game. I know likely wants to continue balling out. And I didn't even get to the part about what if Andrews plays in this game. How many times have Andrews been compared to Kelsey already? If you add Andrews into this offense the way it's been operating already, and you already have likely and Lamar like this, there have been people. I've been trying not to get my hopes up, but there have been people out there saying that this could get this could be blow your doors off territory. Like they're like, I don't know what the line's going to be by the game time hits, especially when if they announce fully that Tooney is out, what the game line, the spread's going to be or whatever like that. But this could definitely hit blow your doors off territory for real. And look, it's an AFC Championship game in Baltimore. I don't care about whatever any pundits are saying about whatever's happened in the regular season. The way this team's been playing this year, I think this what we saw from this, especially in baseball, and there are certain times when you face teams that it's called the buzzsaw. Mm-hmm. No matter who plays them, they're headed towards destiny right now. And I feel like this Ravens team right now, the way they're playing, considering how the 49ers have played and other teams have played, especially the Chiefs have been wishy-washy all season. I think this team, the most complete team in football, I don't see them folding in this one at all.
Yeah, I think excuse me, you said it, and also Travis said it best. I mean, the only way we lose this game is if we beat ourselves. Mm-hmm. We've won so many games this season against teams that are just better than the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are in this position, so I mean, I'm giving them credit just for making it this far. But we know that the Bills probably should have won that game. I mean, with all the opportunities they had. Last week, and they shot themselves in the foot, and that's why the Chiefs are here. If Thuney can't go, I'm like you said, I'm already kind of, even before hearing that news about him getting MRI and whatever's going on with his pectoral. If he can't go though, that defensive line is going to eat. We got 0 sacks last week and a dominant win. You think them guys ain't hungry? Like they're going to be hungry for some stats. Like, I mean, like you said, it's about to be payday for a lot of players, and a lot of them are on that defensive side of the ball and on the defensive front. And I'm just looking forward to it. I mean, with Mahomes, he hasn't looked himself all year. Mm-hmm. I understand that he has receivers that are not as good as what he's used to, but he's had Travis Kelce all year, if I'm not mistaken, and it's not like they've been great. Travis Kelce finally having 2 touchdowns in one game. That's the first time he's really, really produced in probably all year for the most part. I mean, you've gotten yards here and there, but last week was probably his best game that he's had all year. So the game is ours for the taking at this point. I mean, there's the defense. For some reason, everyone's kind of gloating on their defense. Their defense has been spectacular this, spectacular there, that. I don't see how special everyone thinks it is. I mean, it's a really, really, really good defense, but it ain't nothing we ain't seen before. They said that about the Browns. They said that about, mad teams. And we just go in there and we just take their lunch. So yeah, it's not too much that concerns me. I think only concern, like I said earlier, just beating ourselves, making mistakes, not being locked in, not being focused, and everything that the Ravens have been about leading up to this point tells you that we're everything but all of those things. We have been locked in. This team has been focused. We've seen it in the players' eyes. We've seen it in the post game. We've seen it in the pregame. We've seen it, in Lamar, leading his team and evolving into a leader. Not that he wasn't one before, but he's obviously taken another step in that leadership role where, we can see and hear you loud and clear at this point. And Lamar and the team knows that. And the team is following his lead, him in tandem with Roquan on the defensive side of the ball. Like, there's really no reason we should lose this game. Definitely with the addition possibly of Mark Andrews, just to provide even more depth. And even if we go like double tight in some situations, obviously I don't want us to switch up too much. That's been working, but having Andrews out there can only help. Andrews probably been out. He's been out. He's probably been visualizing this moment ever since he went down. Like, Andrews was balling when he went out. Like, he was having a good year. So I'm hoping that he comes back close to 100% and he can kind of help us get to where we need to go. And the coaches have been on the tear the last few weeks as well. Like, coaching has been good. Our running game has been okay. We ran for 200 something yards last week. It was really good. A lot of that came from Lamar. But yeah, maybe we incorporate Dalvin Cook a little bit more in this game if needed. Emphasis on if needed, because like I said, I don't want to just switch up the chemistry because Justice Hill has been playing phenomenal football this season in tandem with Gus Hill, who's been still delivering a knockout blow, and he'll get one here and there where he'll break one loose. But I don't really want to change too much. I just feel like, and I feel like this is the same thing I said last week. We just kind of got to keep doing what we're doing because right now we're just clicking on all cylinders. And like I said, the Chiefs have showed me nothing to make me feel like they can beat us in this game. Bills had so many injuries on defense, and that game still came down to the wire for them. They were struggling. I mean, that game could have been, over. And that was a game where Patrick Mahomes wasn't really under that much duress. Like, he really didn't have that much duress, and it's not like they still couldn't put up, way more points than the Bills in that game. So it's like it's really nothing that I'm too concerned with. As far as the defense, like I said, just keeping pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Our secondary, just keeping assignment, doing a lot what they've been doing all year. We have two guys that we really got to worry about outside of the quarterback, and Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. I mean, and Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, making sure that their run game don't go crazy, but it seemed like we buttoned that up the last few weeks. So, that's kind of the main thing. I mean, the Chiefs, their big thing now is that all of a sudden, like, they have this crazy run game. And their run game has improved. So even though their team isn't as good overall, they do have a better run game than what they've had. But I don't think it's nothing that we can't handle. And when Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in the game, try to get the football back. He will fumble.
Yeah,
He will fumble, and he hasn't seen physicality in an opponent all year. So I think the Chiefs just aren't there. There's no way. I don't think they're prepared to what they're about to run into. Like you said, Miles, a buzzsaw. I think that's exactly what it's going to be. We've been dominating. I think we beat like 9 or 10 teams that have been over 500 this season. We've dominated your best. We've dominated your favorite NFL team. We've done it already. It's been happening all year. I don't see why that changes. There's no bye week that we got to worry about. There's no rust that we should be dealing with this week. All that is dead. We came out. We had 3 weeks off. Lamar had 3 weeks off. Came out. Took a half to get it together. Second half, we dominated that team last week. And now we don't have to worry about that. We in stride. The routine is the routine. We're practicing well. Marlon came back to practice this week. I mean, we might add Marlon to the mix as well. We don't know yet, but he practiced today. So, like, we just been getting good news all year long, like at the crucial times. So, at full power, I just can't see us losing this game. If if whatever happens, if we were to blow it, like I said, it'll be us beating ourselves, or it'll be some type of coaching blunders or something like that. But I don't think the game should be close enough for that to even matter. And we at the bank once again, just like I said before, we're at the bank, and CJ Stroud's a rookie, but his offensive line aren't. They weren't rookies, and they were jumping all game.
Mm-hmm,
So I don't see why the same thing can't happen to Kansas City. And I just have the utmost faith because they've given me zero reason not to.
All right. So I think we talked about this Ravens team being special, Lamar being special. I think things are going to come together at the right time this week. Like you all said, Andrews is looking like he's going to play. I think he was a full participant today. Marlon's coming back. Everything is set up for us to just put it all together and this be a statement game. I remember 2012 AFC Championship. We made a statement. This is our time once again to make a statement where everything kind of just comes together and we enforce our will on the opponent. And what I expect is for that to happen. I think the Chiefs at times get in a little identity crisis. They want to be the Chiefs of old, but sometimes they realize, oh, Pacheco's the guy we got to get the ball to. So I think we'll be able to contain the offense for the most part. I think our biggest concern is getting that pressure on Mahomes, so Mahomes doesn't do Mahomesy things and just like make these crazy throws that a quarterback is not supposed to be making. So I think for the most part, we'll be able to mitigate that. I think between Mods, between Rowe and Kyle Hamilton at third level, we'll be able to like have a real physical game and really enforce our will. I think this is the Mike McDonald legacy game. I think, Miles, you were talking about that earlier. He has a lot riding on this. I don't think it's going to matter what he does in the Super Bowl. I think this is the game where he gets the NFL job. And the interviews are waiting for him right now. They are waiting for him. So this is a game where he's really going to have to outduel one of the great head coaches in NFL history, one of the best play callers in NFL history. This is his game. So I think the game plan is going to be solid defensively. Look, offensively, Monken, just don't muck it up. I say that in a PG-13 way. Don't muck it up. Get the ball to your playmakers, run the ball, have a balanced approach. If KC wants to pressure us, let's get the ball out quick like we did last week with the Texans. Don't muck it up. Let the defense carry this game. And offensively, we play our game. We play physical. I don't care if we run the ball 40 times. If that's what it calls for because the forecast is like a half inch of rain, let's do it. Let's do it. Lamar, if things are tight, I see Lamar going to the offensive coaching staff and saying, hey, put the ball in my hands. I'm going to take it from here. I feel like they were hinting at that. I think the last game, the announcers were saying, like, when they were like, how they do those meetings through the week with the team players, they said in key games, Lamar wants control of the offense and wants the ball in his hands. If it's tight, I see us going in that direction. But overall, I don't expect this to be like a super close game. I think it'll be close enough early on, but we pull away, and we just out-physical the Chiefs. They haven't been a physical team. I think we out-physical them. So I'm really in favor of us really showing out, making an impact, and this is the coronation of the MVP, and it's the legacy game for Mike McDonald before he leaves us next year.
And I will say, I think how it's leading up is that when Pat Mahomes won the MVP last year, he won a Super Bowl. So just saying that there's precedent now.
Just no funny business. Just no funny business NFL.
No, Let's get the Super Bowl everybody wants. Everybody. I think that as much as they would like the Chiefs, NFL would like the Taylor Swift Super Bowl, the fans have already said the fans have basically said we want Lions Ravens. We want Lions Ravens just because of the storylines for the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Like it's just the storyline of the Chiefs right now is just kind of stale. People are sick of it now. Like, you've been doing this since week 1, and it's like, is that Harbaugh to the Chargers? Is that that just happened?
Breaking news.
Oh, it's okay. So Jim Harbaugh will now be coaching the Los Angeles Chargers, and Justin Herbert. That should be pretty good. That should be pretty good. I think this is, I think Monken has been doing his thing with this offense, and we saw even in that Dolphins game they ran the same play three times, 3 different ways, and I think that when you have Lamar Jackson be able to run the football and throw the football, you're able to blend plays. You can blend run schemes and pass scheme. Like it's the amount of combinations that Monken could probably do with this offense right now is just you can't put it all on paper. Like he's probably had to go through he's got a passing playbook and a running playbook, and like I can meld some of this together so that way I can confuse defenses. And I think that's what's going to help the Ravens out, is that because that the Chiefs just don't know how to play Lamar. I just think they don't know how to play Lamar. Now I think, look, Mahomes going to get off his scampers every now and then, but I would hope that first drive that Pat Mahomes tries one of those things, that either Queen or Roquan just hit him. Not in the field of play, but just hit him. Just hit him one good time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we've seen in the playoffs this season, especially, has been the more physical team has won the game. The most physical team has won the football game. Because it will be outside in the elements, it definitely benefits the Ravens, and the fact that they're not playing the Chiefs. Everybody's been giving the Chiefs all this praise about beating the Bills and away. They beat the Bills in Orchard Park, and oh man, the Chiefs have. They can win anywhere, right? The Chiefs win one away game, and they can win anywhere all of a sudden. They can win anywhere, but they got to come to Baltimore. The Bills are used to losing. Okay, they're used to losing. Ravens aren't used to losing. We get this far, we don't lose. We get this far, we don't lose. That's what we do. And I think that because for the NFL, it's a better story once you have – I think that the NFL is calculating this, right? They looked at what happened with Josh Allen. They're like, Josh Allen may not be the guy we want to pair with Mahomes as the duel, right? As the tying their careers together for the next 8, 9, whatever years, how long that lasts. I think maybe we hitched our wagon to the wrong horse. Maybe that needs to be Lamar. Lamar needs to be that guy that has his career tied to Patrick Mahomes. I think that's better for the NFL because, like you guys said, we have seen how many times now Josh Allen failed to beat Patrick Mahomes. Whatever you want to say about Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, the reason why the rivalry was great is because they could beat each other. The reason why Larry Bird and Magic Johnson was great is because they could beat each other. That's why those rivalries were so good, is because they could go back for Ali and Frazier because they could beat each other. That's why I think the NFL has seen enough of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes to be like, I think we might go with Lamar. I think it's time. Let me might go with Lamar. He's a 2-time MVP. Josh Allen has won any MVPs. None. 0. Lamar's about to win his second. So I think the NFL for its money purposes to brand a certain type of game for the next 5, 6, 7 years, Lamar Mahomes. That's just easy money right there. Easy money. But yeah, I think it's the Ravens are aware of what's happening, and I think Corey said in the comments apparently some Chiefs players or Chiefs media has been saying some trash about the Ravens and Lamar and Harbaugh and stuff. I haven't seen any of it. I'll give credit to the Ravens. I don't think anybody has said anything. Lamar hasn't said anything. Roquan hasn't said anything. Roquan says all his stuff on the field. Roquan says all his stuff on the fields. And I think the Ravens are like, y'all can talk and do all this mess all y'all want, but y'all at the end of the day, y'all got to come here. Y'all coming in our house. We'll let y'all know we're not gonna lay down like Josh Allen and the Bills did. This is a different city, man. It's a different city. And so yeah. All right. So before we get out of here, what's the scores?
Ooh. Let's see.
What's the scores, and are you doing anything for the game? I'll say that. Are you gonna have any night at the house, or where you
I'm actually going to be in the area. Going to be going down DC for the weekend, but I'll be passing through Baltimore a couple of times. And but the game Sunday at 3. You know, I got work Monday early, so I'll be back home in Jersey on my couch probably by noon at the latest. I need a couple hours to get my mind right.
You gotta get ready. Yeah, get ready. You gotta get ready.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, gotta get ready. Gotta make sure the house is, is in order, and make sure everything is the way it needs to be. It needs to be exactly the way it was last week. So we just gotta
make sure you got your dark liquor on hand.
Yeah,
make sure everything. I get it.
So yeah, score wise, it's man, I wanna get disrespectful with the score, but you know, I'm gonna be a little respectful. I do think we give up some points, not a lot. So I'm not going to say we're giving up 0 touchdowns again, but you know, I give the Chiefs 20 points, but I think we put up 35. I think we beat them by 15.
Man, you took my score.
35-20. I got the Ravens winning. I think this game is over. I think this game is over in the third quarter. Okay. And we start sitting guys down with about 8-7 minutes left in the fourth. Yeah, and we start getting ready for the Super Bowl. But one game at a time.
I'm not too far off from you. I'm actually really close. Okay. I agree. I think they're going to put up some points, but I think one of those touchdowns is going to be late when the game has been decided. I have us putting up 4 TDs and 2 field goals, which will put us at 34-20. I think regardless of the rain, I think Lamar has another couple touchdowns and we run the hell out of the ball. I think Justice Hill breaks a long touchdown. And I think Gus, he's going to get one inside the 5. So I think 34-20. Yeah, I think it's pretty decided.
Yeah, I had my head. I was like, what the Ravens did last week. I said 35-20. I was like, that's my score. I'm gonna stick to it.
We can stick to it. Let's get it.
And so I'm sticking to that. And I just think that I think the Ravens defense, the whole Ravens team is just operating on a different level right now. And now that the Ravens you got Gus, you got Justice Hill, you got Dalvin Cook right now. I think if each of those guys take turns, everybody can get off. So I think it's ready for the Ravens to just take this thing. So 2 weeks later, go to the Super Bowl. And
what's your score, Corey?
So Corey mentioned he's like teams are 0-4. So I saw this stat about the Josh Allen stat that players that play Josh Allen in the playoffs lose.
Let it ride
after playing them. Okay, which is wild. I never heard that. So after playing Josh Allen, teams lose. So Corey said 35-13. He said, it's going to blow the doors off. He's going to blow the doors off.
Blow the doors off.
All right. So this should be a fun weekend. It's going to be a lot warmer than it was. I may turn the grill on, put the grill on and, grill some stuff. Got some Wagyu beef in the freezer. Maybe cook that, make some burgers or something.
Wagyu beef. We gotta talk after this.
Yeah, make some Wagyu beef or whatever. And but yeah, it should be a fun game. It's gonna be stressful. I'm gonna be sweating even before the game even starts. Like I already know.
And right now,
I'm gonna be like I'm like I got church in the afternoon, in the morning and stuff. Like it's gonna kind of eat up a little bit of my time. But I'm like the whole time I'm gonna be like, looking like
going early.
Yeah.
Get in, get out.
Yeah, man. This is. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys. Hopefully we'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully you're prepared for this Ravens Super Bowl. So that's it from us. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.